Caribbean travel and soft sand between your toes, or the taste of smooth rum and getting lost in island beauty? If so, then you've come to the right place. Welcome to the Caribbean Castaways Podcast. You are about to embark on a journey where you will learn about everything the Caribbean has to offer, from the best beaches and places to stay to the best restaurants and things to do. Everything you need to know to get the most out of your vacation and become a salty Caribbean castaway. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your hosts, Caribbean travel bloggers, Rum Shop Ryan and Castaway Crystal.
All right. Hey, Castaways. Welcome to the Caribbean Castaways Podcast. Thank you so much for listening today. I am Ryan, a.k.a. Rum Shop Ryan, and I have the one and only Castaway Crystal here with me today.
Hey guys, welcome to our fourth episode of our Caribbean Castaway Podcast. We're Caribbean travel bloggers, and we're here to help you find the best Caribbean has to offer so you can have the best vacation possible. Unfortunately, though, on this episode, I'm going to have to let Ryan take the reins, and I'm going to have to step back because I'm a little under the weather, and I don't want to cough in your ears.
Oh, her voice is...
raspy.
This is take two, and her voice is cracking, and it was just kind of breaking up a little bit, So Ryan's on his own on this one. But I did want her to say hi to you guys, and then I'm going to give you a tour of what to do in Key West if you're there during a cruise ship stop. But thank you, Crystal. I wish you could continue.
You're welcome. Enjoy, guys. Cheers.
All right. Like she said, this is episode 4, and we're going to be talking about the best things to do in Key West if you're there on a cruise ship stop. So usually a cruise ship stop is about 7 or 8 hours. And before we dive in, I wanted to kind of tell you a quick little story about the podcast and introducing that kind of technology to our parents. So funny, quick story. We shared our podcast episodes with my mom and Crystal's mom. And they, of course, they were like, oh, this is so great, very, very cool. But both of them, for whatever reason, go, are there any pictures to go along with your podcast? And there are no pictures. I am sorry, Mom. But it was a funny joke, and it was just new technology for an older generation. And it was funny to see, and we are sorry there are no pictures with the podcast. But we are still going to give you lots of great information. So let's talk about Key West. So we're going to talk a little bit about what to do on the water, famous bars to hit, family-friendly activities, which is important because Key West is kind of known as a party town. Some really great restaurants and other activities that you should definitely go and do in Key West. So Key West is known as America's Caribbean. It's blue water, has a great funky island personality. It's just a really, really cool place to go. It's actually not very far away from us here in Fort Myers. We jump on the Key West Express, is a ferry boat, gets there in about 3.5 hours versus driving from Fort Myers. It takes about, I'd say, 5 to 6 hours depending on traffic. You can also fly there, and obviously you can take a cruise ship there. Key West is famous for being a escape for creative misfits like Jimmy Buffett and Ernest Hemingway and tons of other artists and recording artists and a whole bunch of very cool people like that. And that really helped give the island this very creative and free spirit. Key West is also only 90 miles from Cuba, so there's a big Cuban influence on the island even to this day. You'll see that in some of the restaurants and things like that. It's also used by the military. We'll talk about Fort Zach, which is a very cool historic fort you can go tour. And like I mentioned, Key West is a party town, totally is a party town right now. So we're going to talk about some of the bars and the famous Duval Street. Key West isn't that big of an island. It's only about 8 square miles, so it's about 4 miles long by 2 miles wide. And I think I read somewhere that Key West per square mile or per capita or something like that has the most highly densely populated bar scene. There's more bars per square mile in Key West than I think anywhere. So just know that's going to be there when you arrive on your cruise ship. All right. So one of the first things to do if you're there on a family-friendly vacation, and basically anybody, is you got to go get your photo by the Southernmost Marker. So you've probably seen that photo of the big concrete like buoy or pillar. So that marks the southernmost end of the United States. So people line up there day and night to get that picture. Go early if you want to avoid the line. So there's usually a line maybe about a block long. It does move fast, but definitely keep that in mind. After you get that picture, head over to the Ernest Hemingway House. So Ernest Hemingway, if the kids don't know who he is, they'll really like all the things going on at the house because it has all of these Hemingway cats. The famous thing about the Hemingway cats is they're polydactyl cats, which means they have 6 toes, I believe, and it looks like they have a thumb. So it's pretty crazy, but there are cats everywhere. And you'll also get a tour of his house, his writing studio, and it's a very lush tropical environment. It's definitely worth a see. It's $15 general admission, $6 for kids, and remember, it's cash only, so keep that in mind. One of Crystal's favorite things to do there, and she actually drug me in last time, maybe it wasn't last time we were down, but maybe last year, was the Butterfly Conservatory. So it's this big kind of greenhouse type building down on the southern end of Duval Street. It's super lush, super, super humid. It's like 100% humidity. General admission is $15. Children between ages 4 and 12 are $11. And you'll see lots of different birds. They have a couple flamingos roaming around. Obviously, lots of butterflies. So it's a very cool place to go in and take some pictures. Crystal actually went twice. It's kind of like a lap. You take a circle around this place. It was so hot in there. I had to go out and go out on the street and cool off somewhere. But she went back through and took some more pictures of butterflies and definitely the flamingos. Very cool spot. Another family-friendly spot is Fort Zachary Taylor State Park. So like I mentioned, Key West has a very historic feel to it, and they have a big fort on the southern and western ends of the island called Fort Zach, basically. That's what locals call the fort. It was built back in 1845 as a Civil War era fort, and it has one of the best beaches in Key West. So definitely go check out the fort and then spend some time on the beach. It's $4.50 to get in per person in a car. 2 people, $7. And if you're taking a bike or walking, it's $2.50 per person. Key West has a lot of really cool museums. So right there as you get off of the ship, you kind of go through the Mallory Square area and some shops, and then you'll see the Shipwreck Museum. Admission is free. You kind of travel back in time and take a look at all the artifacts of all the sunken ships off Key West. Key West and the Florida Keys has a huge barrier reef on the outside of it, and a lot of ships back in the day have hit that reef, and Key West was a famous place salvaging all of these wrecks. The people there were called wreckers, I believe, and so there's a lot of really cool artifacts you can go and tour. To go along with the Shipwreck Museum, there's also the Mel Fisher Museum. Mel Fisher is a famous treasure hunter, and he found the wreck of the Etosha. It was a huge find, lots of gold, lots of silver. You can go to the Mel Fisher Museum and see a lot of this treasure and hold gold bars and things like that. The kids would really get a kick out of that, I think. So Key West is obviously an island. So let's talk about water activities. There's snorkel and diving charters that go out all the time. One of my buddies is a dive master down there. There's some sunken ships down there. I believe the Vandenberg aircraft carrier, which is an old World War II aircraft carrier. So you can go dive on that. You can take jet ski tours that circumnavigate Key West. Obviously, there's booze cruises that go out, and you can just go out and see the water. And then there's also, if there's time, if you want to go out to Fort Jefferson, which is in the Dry Tortugas, it's about 60, 70 miles west of Key West. And there's a ferry that takes you out there. It's about 3 hours to get out. They spend about 2-3 hours on the island and another 3 hours back. So just make sure that your ship isn't leaving you have enough time basically to get back to your ship. So it is a long day out on the water. Just keep that in mind. But the dry tortugas are very cool. And then obviously go to the beach. Key West has a few beaches. It's not known for its beaches, but Smathers Beach is probably the biggest and most famous beach. And then, like I mentioned earlier, Fort Zach has a great beach there as well. So go hit the sand, get some sun, and have a lot of fun. I did not mean that to rhyme, but it did. Sorry, guys. So let's talk about Key West bars. Crystal and I absolutely love Irish Kevin's. So it's right there on Duval Street. It's an Irish pub, Irish Kevin's. And it's really great because all of the musical acts are actually entertainers. It gets a little wild and crazy. It's kind of crude. They'll make fun of the audience. They'll get people up on stage to do like rum and whiskey shots. So it can get pretty crazy, but it's super, super entertaining. And that is Crystal and I's. Definitely we have to hit that place. It's one of our favorites every single time. Then obviously you've probably heard about Sloppy Joe's. A lot of people want to hit that. Captain Tony's is personally one of my favorites. A lot of history there. It used to be the Key West morgue back in the 1800s or early 1900s. And there's a tree that grows through the bar in Captain Tony's. And it used to be the hanging tree where I believe, I'll have to check my facts, but I believe they hung pirates and murderers from this tree. And then because it was the morgue, they would just, take care of the bodies right there. So there is a little bit of like scary, dark, haunting type vibes there. But it's a great bar. Definitely go check out Captain Tony's. Another one of my favorites is the Rum Bar down on South Duval Street. It's a very small bar located at the Speakeasy Inn. It is, it's just a really cool little local place. You always have great conversations there. Me and my buddies, we used to go there and have what we called rum church. So on Sunday mornings, we'd go there and do some barstool philosophy and just kind of try and solve the world's problems. And that was just the place we went, the Rum Bar. Definitely go check it out. Key West is home to the original Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville. So you probably know that he has Margaritavilles all over the world and big hotels now. But it all started in Key West with his little restaurant there. So definitely stop in if you're a Jimmy Buffett fan, get the t-shirt, have a margarita, and have a good time. I really love the Smokin' Tuna Saloon. It's about one block off of Duval Street. It's like an open courtyard, live music. It's just a really cool vibe going on there. One of my favorites. So go check out the Smokin' Tuna Saloon. Some really good restaurants to hit up. So after you're doing all this, partying in all these bars, definitely put some food on your stomach. Go have a piece of key lime pie at Blue Heaven. They're famous for their key lime pie, another open courtyard type restaurant. It has a huge meringue on top of it. It's definitely something you have to do there. I really like the Real Macaw located in Bahama Village. They have a great Bloody Mary bar, some place to go to in the morning that we really like. Pepe's Cafe is another must, I think. They have great breakfast and lunch, open courtyard type seating, inside and outside. Go check out Pepe's Cafe. You have Louis' Backyard, which is a little bit more upscale on the water down on the Atlantic side, the south side of Key West. And then if you want to go super upscale, there's Latitudes out on Sunset Key. Sunset Key is the island that you see with all the nice houses on it if you're in Mallory Square. And you can take a little ferry out there, go to Latitudes, and have yourself a very intimate, nice upscale dining experience. So some of the tours and activities you can do, like there's so much to do in Key West. It's such a small island, but there's just so much you can do. So one thing I definitely recommend is hitting up the Hemingway Rum Company. So the Hemingway Rum Company is the maker of Papa's Pilar rum. So I'm a big fan of Papa's Pilar. They actually have the distillery right there. So some of my good friends are actually the rum makers. Go in there and say hi to Sean and Bahama Bob and tell them that Rum Shop Ryan and Castaway Crystal sent you. Super great guys. They'll take you through the rum making experience. And it's a super great tour. They have a whole bunch of history on Hemingway. So you'll get to see why he loved Key West, why he wanted to write there. And we all know that Hemingway was a very good drinker. And so Papa's Pilar tries to capture that vibe of Hemingway. And I believe their tagline is never a spectator. So I really like that as being a Caribbean explorer and traveler. Never be a spectator. Go out and explore. And that's kind of why our tagline is #JustGo. You'll be so glad you did. Just go. Another thing you'll see all around the island is scooters. So if you want to see the island, go rent a scooter. It's a lot of fun. Just make sure you don't crash into anybody. I do see some crashes every now and then, but it's a great way to get around the island quickly and see the beaches and a whole bunch of different stuff. And if you want to get some history of the island and just kind of relax, take a conch train tour. So you'll see these conch trains that look like it's a little train pulling all these cars behind it, and people just kind of take a tour through Old Town Key West. And the conductors, if you will, the guides, will give you amazing history, tell you about cool, interesting places, haunted places, things you got to go check out. So definitely go do a conch train tour. You'll love it. And then, you probably heard me mention the Duval Street area. So Duval Street is the main drag, the downtown area, if you will. And there's something called the Duval Crawl. So if you're there to party, bachelor party, bachelorette party, if you're on a cruise, you're probably there to have a pretty good time. So the Duval Crawl is basically bouncing up and down the Duval Street and hitting some of those famous bars that I told you about, and tons more. There's so many cool places to go and check out on Duval Street. I mean, we haven't been, I don't think we've been this year, but I am so ready to go back. Every single, time we go, we find something new. But if you've never been, or if you're going there on a cruise ship, I know your time is limited. I hope some of these restaurants and activities and tours help you guys out. If you have any questions about Key West, or want to know more about these things that we listed, or some other things, I am happy to help you out. So yeah, that is Key West. All right, guys. So all this talk about Duval Street and Key West is making me a little thirsty. I think I say this every episode, but I do want to tell you guys about the Caribbean Castaway Cocktails recipe book that we do have. It is 52 drink recipes, one for every single week of the year. It has some of your island favorites like rum runners and painkillers and killer bees. And then there's a handful of my own creations that I think you're really going to like. So go check out the Castaway Cocktails recipe book. I'll put the link right here in the show notes, and you can easily find that in the shop on CaribbeanCastaways.com as well. So thank you so much again for listening. I'm sorry Crystal couldn't be here. She really wanted to be. Her voice just would not allow her to do that today. But definitely subscribe if you guys love Caribbean travel. You can do that on iTunes, Spotify, whatever your podcast player is of choice. And please follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And if you do, take a screenshot of your podcast app and go to Instagram and tag us or DM us that screenshot. And we would love to send you a personal thank you. We really appreciate you guys so, so much. So if you would like to know more about the Caribbean travel, definitely head over to CaribbeanCastaways.com. And that is it, guys. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time. Cheers.